Hollywood has been rocked by this recent writer's strike. Do you know why a labor strike, a mass refusal to work, is called a strike? I am going to tell you the true origin of the word strike. This is a strike.
Jeez.
This is a strike. Here's another strike. And here's another strike. That's streaking, not striking. The truth is, it has nothing to do with any of these kinds of strikes. Would you believe me if I told you that striking has something indirectly to do with wooden shoes and a boat? Let me explain. For centuries, at least up through the beginning of the 20th century, European peasants would commonly wear clumsy wooden shoes, or clogs. Either the clog or shoe was entirely made of wood, or it was a leather shoe with wooden soles. As you can understand, with these on, people could easily make an annoying clickety-clackety noise as they walked up and down the street, especially kids running around at school. This racket would drive their teachers nuts, which I'm sure delighted the mischievous kids. The French had a name for these shoes. They were called sabots, and when the clickety-clackety noise got annoying, the French started to call this by the word sabotage. Sabotage came to mean causing a nuisance in order to get what you want. Now in 1887, a new type of sabotage or nuisance emerged. It was a work stoppage of the French General Confederation of Labor. They adopted the idea of sabotage, of being a nuisance to their employer, but their sabotage was a little more sinister than the mere clickety-clackety noise of wooden shoes. For these workers, any kind of malicious damage was allowed. In order to force their employer to meet their demands, they would destroy tools, machinery, even raw materials. Now, some etymology books talk about them possibly throwing their wooden shoes into the machinery itself to cause them to break down. This would mean that literally sabots were used to sabotage the machinery. But that is disputed whether wooden shoes were actually used to damage equipment. Sounds good, but usually there's competing theories on an origin of a word. There's sometimes very clean and then very messy and indirect. So who knows for sure? But after a serious strike in France regarding the railroads, sabotage was adopted into the English vocabulary by journalists to describe industrial or military sabotage. Whoa, awesome. But what exactly does this have to do with our term strike, as in a labor strike? Well, it goes back to a bunch of English sailors in the 18th century. So many of our English sayings go back to the sailors, as you'll find out if you subscribe. The year is 1768, to be precise. During the age of Captain Cook, thousands of sailors in the port of London decided to stop working until their demands were met. But they went a little further than not working. They started to sabotage the ships. What they did was dismantle or remove the topgallant sails, or they removed the topgallant masts. This would effectively cripple the ships. Now, this was called striking the sail. Ships that were struck were out of commission. This labor stoppage was therefore called a strike. Now, it started off peaceful non-compliance and a little ship sabotage, but eventually it grew violent. However, the word strike has nothing to do with violence, but was the simple act of striking the sails, and the word strike stuck, and labor stoppages from henceforth were called strikes. Now you're wise to the words. How about striking the subscribe button?
Dude, I'll subscribe.